This conference will now be recorded.
Once again, guys, good evening and good morning. This is Satish from Isha Training Solutions. Thanks for taking out your time today and attending this first demo session. Quick introduction about me. I've been with Isha for last 2+ years, taking training for performance engineering, and then Linux for performance testers, Selenium for performance, and then there were a couple of other crash courses as well. K6 performance testing tool. So there are apart from performance engineering, I also take care of 5 or 6 others performance related courses. Right? And I also have totally 15 years of experience. I started with performance testing engineering, and now with the product development. Okay. So this course, performance engineering course, has been planned to start from tomorrow or maybe from Monday. Today being a demo class, tomorrow we might start it, or we might start it from Monday. Right. So it's going to be between the same time. The way you attended today, it's going to be between 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. IST. Right. Okay, so most of you who are now in the call, I assume that you already have a performance testing background, right? So you might be already doing some level of scripting, execution, analysis, reporting, right? And it could be Jmeter, it could be LoadRunner, it could be any other tool. Uh, so to summarize, the left hand side what I have given, right? That is what I expect you to be already doing it, right? Doing some kind of a scripting and execution in Jmeter, doing some monitoring, preparing your summary reports, getting some level of data from your AppDynamics or Dynatrace, right? That is what you might be doing it already. And there will be a separate performance engineering team who does all these bottleneck analysis and then tuning, profiling, etc., right? So from performance testing, to expand your knowledge, to expand your skill set, right? There are multiple things people expect today. Either you have to be expanding your testing skill set along with performance testing. You can expand your knowledge to automation, security, or accessibility, so that in the agile kind of SDLC cycle, where there are going to be small team who is going to take care of the individual modules. So you're not going to have a dedicated person doing every testing. Right? There are going to be situation where a single person has to do multiple things. So one option is to expand your skill set in other testing areas, or the other option is to go in depth into the performance. Right? They call it as a T-shaped skill. Either you have to expand your breadth of knowledge from performance to security or automation testing, or your other area of testing, or you go in depth into your performance. So both are I would say equally useful in today's world, right? So this course is meant for deepening your performance testing skill and going towards a performance engineering area. Okay, so many places, right? What is a main challenge? What at least even I faced earlier is when we are performance testers, right? Until we get an opportunity to do a performance engineering in terms of profiling, in terms of analysis, in terms of AWR analysis, right? We will not be able to get exposure to that. We will not be able to go and learn that, right? Other way around, the project team also expected some level of experienced people to work on it. So it's kind of a situation where you will not get exposure because they expect the experienced folks. Until we work on that, we won't get experience, right? So so the idea of this course is tailored in such a way that from performance testing, how can you march your journey towards a performance engineer, right? What we wanted you to tell to your project team, or when you're going to attend the interview, right? The key difference between a performance tester and you who going to learn this performance engineering course, right? You should be able to confidently go and tell. You can pretty much tell honestly, I haven't worked in any engineering projects, but I have learned on myself because of my passion. I know what is server-side profiling. I know what is client-side profiling. I know how to do profiling using JProfiler. I know how to identify a memory leak, how to identify a CPU hotspots. I know to analyze the if dumps, thread dumps, AWR reports. I know what is the benchmarking process, how to benchmark a JVM. I'm good at APM tool like AppDynamics for deep dive diagnostics, right? And I know how to monitor my server or monitor my application using open source or commercial tools. So if you go and tell that I have done all these things on my own using the tools and using the real-time application, I have done the hands-on, then there is going to be a very big advantage between a person who knows only testing plus the testing plus all these knowledge, right? You will still not be having experience like a 3 years or 4 year experience, but definitely you would be able to expose yourself in such a way that you have a 1 year or 2 year knowledge. Not you're going to fake it, but with this knowledge and hands-on, you are going to be equivalent to one year or two experience performance engineer. Right. So that is the objective of this performance engineering course, to make yourself good at all these areas. Right. So broadly, when it comes to engineering, right, it is going to be system analysis, programming, networking, and testing. You already are a tester. You're doing a testing, so which is covered. This is one part of your performance engineering. And system analysis, it comes everything what I've been telling about so far, right? Everything comes under system analysis. You call it as a performance engineering, or you call it as a system analysis, performance optimization. All these things what I've listed out or what I've told so far, it will come here. The remaining two things are little tricky. Programming, um, exposure to a programming language is good, but it is not a mandatory. But definitely you should know at least certain things when you're going to do a profiling and analysis, and then go and talk to a developer. You're not going to go and just tell response time is high, CPU is high. You're going to go and talk much more deeper, right? You're going to go and tell you're having a leak in this object. You have a problem with this method. So, what is this method? What is the object? What is a class? How a typical program is going to look? How your multiple classes are going to communicate? How a program is going to look like? How a war file is getting generated? What is a jar file? How this entire project will look like? Right? So that should not be a black box for you. You should be able to confidently go and talk. We are not going to become a developer, but we need to go and confidently talk in a more of a developer language. Right? For that, a little bit of programming exposure is important. So that is also will be covered at the beginning, because we don't want you guys to be thinking this as a black box, right? We should know a little bit more from the application perspective. That will give you confidence in going and talking to the architects and developers. And network administration is all about, you should be able to go and install your tools, install your softwares, install your servers, deploy the WAR file. Being a performance engineer, you cannot expect a person to come and do this for you, right? You should be able to play around with all these tools and softwares and installations, deployment, troubleshooting all these kind of installation problems. So that will, as you start installing a lot of tools and softwares, right, you will get exposed to all these problems. You will face a lot of problems, but when you go and look for problems and solution, it will be really interesting, and that's how you will improve your administration skill set. Okay, so in this course, system analysis we covered a little bit of programming concepts, and in a way that you'll be able to go and talk to the developer. That will also be covered. Okay, so quick walkthrough of the course content. As I was mentioning, the concepts and programming, right? the Java basics. Think like a developer, right? This will be the first session which will start either tomorrow or Monday, right? We want you to understand the Java. The reason Java is, again, if you wanted to start somewhere, the performance engineering, Java is the best place to start, because wherever you go, whichever enterprise architecture you take, Java is going to be there for so many reasons, which I will tell you later. Okay, so you have to start somewhere, and Java is the best place, and from there you can expand it further. There is no boundary for that. Right? So from a think like a developer, we will try to go and create some few lines of codes, a few programs, integrate the programs, compile it, run it, create jar files, create war files, and do it on the Eclipse ID, right? And then try to understand how a database connection is made, how an HTTP connection is made, how do you go and add the external jar files. So all these things, it will make you understand how typically a developer is going to work in his environment. That's very important for you to know, so that you will be able to go and talk to them in the same language. We'll also look into the concepts about the JVM basics, because JVM is the core part where all your activity is going to be taken care, right? So we'll go and understand the basics of JVM. So that is going to be more from a concept perspective, and yes, practically we'll go and do the Java coding, creating war file, jar file, compiling it, running it, everything, right? So that's going to be first session, and then what we'll do is we will, from the engineering perspective, the way we'll learn is we will have a real-time application. We'll build the war file, we'll deploy it, we'll test it, we'll find out what is the performance problem, and then go back to the Eclipse and then fix the problem, and then again do the testing and see how it get resolved. Okay, so I'll have the this e-library application. Let me go and go to dev, and then go and start the Tomcat. Okay, all these war files, all the code, everything will be available in the Google Drive, to which you will get an access once you enroll, once you register. Okay, so let this get started. Right. Right. While it is getting started, all the softwares, everything what I am going to do it in the course, you will be able to do it by yourself as well. Either it will be open source, or even if it is going to be commercial, you will be able to get your own trial versions to do it. Everything, being a JProfiler or a visual VM or AppDynamics, everything you will be able to do it on your own. For example, there is the AppDynamics. The AppDynamics, what I'm using it here, you will be able to, you should be able to use your own AppDynamics, set your own AppDynamics, and then run test, and then monitor it in the AppDynamics directly. Troubleshoot the problems, monitor your database calls, monitor your remote services, monitor your services, monitor your heap, GC, set up the alerts, everything you will be able to do it hands-on. Right? So we'll be using combination of open source tool and the commercial tool, but you will be able to practice it, everything what I do it in the session, later in the day or in the weekend, you would be able to go and replicate that, right? So it is not that I'm going to use a product or use a tool which you will not be able to practice. No, there's nothing like that. Everything you'll be able to use it, install it in your machine. Okay, so the application which I started is the e-library application. Okay, and then I go and, so it will have a login. Okay, it will have a login, it will have add librarian, it will have a view librarian. It's a library website, right? What I'll do is I'll just copy this, and I will log in as a librarian. I'll do a log out. This is a kind of an admin login. Now I will go and do this. Okay. Now I can go and look into the book, add a book, issue a book, view the issued book, written book, everything. Right? So there are 7-8 functionalities which you can use it for your practice as well. So for the logins or view librarian, we'll go and use these transactions from an engineering perspective. Right. So going back to our topics, the reason I showed you the e-library application is, oops. Yeah. So when we start doing this performance engineering sessions after the basics, when we start with the early performance, shift left early performance or profiling, right? So single user profiling is what we use in any project. We will think that we are in a project where this e-library application is getting developed from scratch, and where we as a performance engineer, you will get involved early. That's one more advantage of a performance engineer, right? If you are just a performance tester, you'll get engaged only maybe after 4 months, 5 months when your application is ready. But as a performance engineer, you will be getting involved much early in the life cycle, working along with the developers as and when a service is getting created, as and when an UI is getting developed, right? You will be able to go and profile it, optimize every service, every page for a memory, for a response time, right? Even a 1 second, if you can reduce it, or if you can just reduce a 10 MB, 20 MB as part of your memory leak, right? At a single user level, right? It's very important because when you go to do a load testing, it's going to be 1,000 users, 2,000 users, okay? And finding out a problem after 5 months, during when you do a load test or an endurance test, when you find out a memory leak or a response time problem, then fixing the problem and then retesting it, it's going to delay your production deployment, right? So that is why people recommend early performance testing, early performance engineering, shift left, whatever you name, call it, right? Engage early, profile, test, provide recommendation to the developer, they will fix it, and then when the code comes to actual testing phase, it will be of much better quality. You'll still might have a problem because you will go and do a load testing with multiple users. There you will have a concurrency problem, you will have a configuration problem, you might have a capacity problem. That's totally different. But early in the life cycle, you are trying to address the code level problems. Okay, so we'll assume that ourselves as a performance engineer will go into a response time analysis, memory leak analysis, and we'll try to understand various components in memory, like your heap, your stack, your metaspace, right? All these key components we will understand. We'll try to simulate problem with the stack and then the problem with the heap. Okay. And going in depth into memory, we'll also go into look into how to take a heap dumps, how to analyze the heap dumps. And if you see in the third column, right, I would have given a set of tools which I will be using it for each of these things, like JProfiler, like your Chrome developer tools. Because for the response time analysis, not only the server side profiling, we'll also have a deep dive session on the client side analysis, where we'll use the Chrome developer tools, right? And for analyzing your heap dumps, we'll be using Eclipse Mat. We'll be using the GC log for garbage collection analysis. Right. So we'll go probably in depth into memory sessions for 4-5 days of each. Easily it will go for all these memory related topics. Right. And then for any server capacity or from a performance perspective, right? You look into response time, you look into memory, and third is the threads, right? So we'll also try to understand what is Java threads, what is the thread contention, what are the possible problem with the threads, how to analyze the thread problems, how to take the thread dump, when to take it, how to take it, right, and how to analyze it. So all these things one by one in a sequence, we'll be looking into it, and we'll be using the Java application, real-time application for a so every time there will be a problem that will be created in any of the page, any of the transaction, and then we'll be testing it out and finding out the bottleneck and then fixing it, and then see whether it is getting fixed or not. So everything whatever we have been seeing here, it will be accompanied with this application. We'll be using it for testing and profiling. Okay, and then as we move forward, so once you do all these early performance, before you do a load testing, it's very important for you to understand your architecture, your components, what are the software components, what is the flow of your application, right? From your web server, it might go to app server, it might go to MQ, it might go to your TIBCO or a Kafka or a database or a mainframe. So you should know the architecture components so that you would be able to go and create a monitoring strategy. It's very important to see you do scripting and then you do execution. Why we are doing it? To find out problems, to observe what is happening. So for a very good observability, you should have proper tools available in every component. So as part of the monitoring strategy, you will also go and create see all these components and validate what kind of tools is already available, what tools has to be procured. That is again the responsibility of a performance engineer, right? Unless otherwise you have your proper tools in place, you will not be able to observe things properly. Okay, so as for the monitoring, we will be looking to AppDynamics. We'll see how to set up the AppDynamics, configuring it in Java application, and then running a test, and then looking into all these aspects what I was talking about in the AppDynamics, right? From monitoring the heap, your GCs, your thread utilization, your business transactions, your database calls, remote services. So everything you will be able to will be going and looking into it from the AppDynamics angle. Right? If you learned any of the APM tool, you would be able to expand your knowledge in Dynatrace or New Relic or Datadog, anything. Right? It's because at the end of the day, every APM tool is meant to do all this monitoring and diagnostics. Right? So yeah, so AppDynamics. And then from open source perspective, we will go and learn one of the familiar popular stack, Telegraph, InfluxDB, and Grafana, which is going to provide you the infra level monitoring, right? We use perfmon, we use VM stats in Linux, right? Instead of doing that manually, how can we use Telegraph to automate your infrastructure monitoring? See that we will look into it from a open source monitoring. Okay, so once all these things are from application perspective, right, from there we'll move towards the database as well. Try to understand the database concepts, your parsing efficiency, your buffer cache ratio, how to take the AWR reports, what are the best practices from an AWR report, how to take the snapshots, when to take the snapshots, what is the period interval of snapshot we have to take it, how to analyze the AWR report from application perspective. See, we are not going to be a database performance engineer. We are not going to be a DBA. Okay, yeah, application performance engineer role is something where you will not go in depth into database at all. Right, we will not be even allowed to go there because it's a very niche area. In any enterprise, if you take it, there are going to be DBAs, database performance engineers, who will take care of tuning, configuration, profiling, all these things. We will not go there, right? And again, if you want to go, it's a separate area of expertise which you have to learn. Okay, but as an application performance engineer, our scope is what we'll try to learn from this course. Okay, now after doing all these things, right, then now you will be able to understand what are the non-functional requirements and how to write the engineering strategy. Okay, earlier we used to have this engineering strategy at the beginning, because to start with what has to be there in engineering plan strategy. But what we thought is, once we learn all these things, then you will be able to relate it easily. So at the end, we will try to go and look into what are the non-functional requirements. How do we gather the non-functional requirements in terms of from a business, from the RUM tools, from APM tools, from logs, and then how to write the engineering strategy as well. Okay, so all these things are from the engineering perspective. And wherever you go, even though you talk about all these engineering stuffs, people now with the trend, they will talk about cloud, they will talk about site reliability, they will talk about DevOps. So from a future readiness perspective, we will try to cover the basics of DevOps, what practically happens in a real project, from a integration of your Jenkins with Jmeter or LoadRunner with Jmeter, how the continuous testing happens, what are the real-time problems, how to handle it. All these things we will be looking into it. And also from a production reliability perspective, we'll also learn synthetic monitoring. What is synthetic monitoring? We'll use Dynatrace to create synthetic scripts, configure it, execute it, and monitor it. Right? Again, one more area of interest in many places. And then cloud, of course, your resiliency, chaos, will cover very high level basics about what it is actually, what additional scenarios you have to test it when it comes to cloud. We will say that cloud will take care of performance. Cloud testing, performance testing is not required. Is it really a correct statement? What is the myth around it? We'll try to discuss that and then see what extra testing we have to even cover from a cloud perspective. What is resiliency? What is auto scaling? So all these three topics we will cover it as a future readiness perspective. And on top of that, I was telling about my other courses, right? So there are two more courses which we thought it will be a little relevant. So we'll share those as the video recordings. One is Linux for performance testers. Second is going to be your performance automation using Selenium. Okay, those as well will be shared with you once you enroll. Right. So all you need is listen to the class and then use your laptop, install the softwares, install the tools, and then practice it. Right, very basic to start with. You just need a laptop with Java available, right, and then Tomcat, and you'll be able to go and install my the WAR file which I'm going to give it. That's all, right? As you move forward, you can install JProfiler, you can install Visual VM, JConsole, and then your Eclipse mat, and then AppDynamics configuration. All these things you will be able to do it as you go on. But at the beginning of the course, we just need these basic set of software to be available, right? And all these softwares what I was mentioning, right, it will be available in the if you go this drive will be shared to you once you enroll, where you will find all these artifacts, right? So if I take say response time analysis, right? So the code which we are going to use it to create a WAR file, and the WAR file itself which you're going to deploy it in the Tomcat. Again, you don't need to worry about when I talk about the code, right? You don't really need a code. I'm going to give this WAR file. You will download it, and then I'll tell you how to deploy it. Right, in the Tomcat, you go to WAR web apps, and then go to the and copy the download the WAR file into this folder, and then rename into elibrary.war, and then start the Tomcat. Just a simple steps for you to replicate it. You again, you don't need to worry that I need to go and really code it or compile it or create a WAR file. No, nothing. So minimal thing what you can do is download the WAR file and then deploy it, and then you can start using the application in your machine. Okay, I'll again tell you how to do all these things in the subsequent classes. How to install the Tomcat, how to get the WAR file deployed. I have a small video which will cover these things. Okay, which you can use it for your installations. Okay, and yeah. So going back to the folder, so you will have all the for every topic you will have the folder, and inside that you will get the required WAR file or documentation, everything. Okay. Similarly, the softwares and link will have the details about where to download all these softwares, right? Where to download Java, where to download the Eclipse, Tomcat, MySQL, or the code, JProfiler, whatever softwares we are going to use it, the link will be available here. Even if you Google it, you will get it. But yeah, we are having it here in the sheet as well. Okay, I will also add one more sheet for Q&A. Right, so whoever has questions, they can probably go back while they are looking into the recorded videos. So all these videos are going to be available for you in the YouTube, which will be shared to you privately. Right, so once the course session is over today, next day in the noon, by noon 12 or 1 or 2, you will get the video demo recorded video, which you can refer it to it for your future anytime you're going to practice it. There's no time restriction, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year. You will have access to this all the videos from day 1 to end of the session. Right, so that's how the course is going to work. Every day there's the course, it will get recorded, and next day you will get an access to the playlist. Okay. Yeah. So as I was telling in the beginning, the session is going to be between 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. IST. Um, any questions related to the payment registration, you can reach out to Contact. And then any questions related to the course content, yeah, the floor is open for you to put the question in the chat, or you can also even voice it out. Or if you wanted to probably put it in the WhatsApp later today or tomorrow, that is also fine. So there's a question. If the application has hosted dedicated individual cloud environment like Salesforce, still you require a performance engineering tuning. Okay. So there are two things. If you're going to use a SaaS-based application, okay, assume that this AppDynamics is an application. Yes, it is having an login, it is having multiple screens, right? For a moment, think that AppDynamics is your application. Okay, it is a SaaS. AppDynamics themselves, they are hosting it, and they are giving the access. Okay, if it is a SaaS-based application, then tuning or load testing is not required. You might need to do a single user performance from a different geography to know whether these screens are loading fine or not. That is a minimal level of validation, you will do it. But as a performance architect or engineer, what we need to get it from these providers are the SLAs. We need to know what is their SLAs in terms of response time, in terms of availability. They should guarantee that it should be within 3 seconds or 5 seconds as per your business need, and 99.99% or 100% of availability. So for a SaaS-based application, we will not involve in doing a load testing or engineering because it's their headache. As long as my screens are within 3 seconds, as long as it's going to be available 100%, I don't have a problem. But if it is going to be a cloud-hosted application, but you're getting only infra from cloud and you're deploying your own application, right? You're getting only the your instances, your servers rented from the AWS or GCP. They're just going to give you the missions, plain Windows and Linux missions, right? You're going to install your application and then you're going to run it. So in that case, it is going to be everything is involved, testing to profiling to tuning, everything is involved in those cloud hosted environments. So when you say cloud hosted, if it is SaaS, nothing is required. If it is uh, um, uh, if it is infra only, we are going to get it from the cloud, then everything is applicable.
Hi, Satish. So I have a question. So this is going to be, I mean, I'll be knowing about AppDynamics for the first time. I have worked on performance testing, but I haven't, worked on AppDynamics. So, I mean, are you going to tell us about from scratch, or, I mean, how is it going to be about AppDynamics?
See, when you say the scratch, we are not going to install AppDynamics first of all, okay? Because even in the real-time projects, we will not be involved in installing the ALMs or performance center or the AppDynamics. It will be taken care by the respective admins. We are the users of AppDynamics, but we'll try to learn how to configure these AppDynamics with a Java application. Even that is not going to be our job, but still we'll try to definitely learn how to configure the Java application with AppDynamics. And then from a monitoring perspective, from a diagnostics perspective, all these things, yes, we'll look into it in detail.
Okay. So that would cover, I mean, even if I'm not, I don't get a chance to work on performance engineering, concept in my future project. So I'll be this course would be enough for me to work on AppDynamics.
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes,
Anyone
please.
else have any other questions?
Hello, Satish, am I audible?
Yeah. Yes.
Do you think like by end of the course, like we would have a quite handsome knowledge about like providing the suggestions to the performance test tuning team? In fact, when there is any tuning team present into the team.
See, there's a multiple level of thing, right? When you say tuning, when there's a response time problem, you provide recommendation at the client side, you provide the recommendation at the server side code. Same thing goes for memory, right? So all these things, yes. See, you will be able to provide, you will be able to analyze it and then provide recommendations. But only as you go and gather more experience and get exposed to the your code and for different projects, your confidence level of profiling will increase, right? So whether you'll be able to go and provide the recommendation immediately, may not, to be honest, but definitely you'll be able to go and do the profiling, do the analysis, get the observation, get the high level recommendation for the project. Yes, that you'll be able to do it once you're done one or two projects, and then also you if you get access to the project code, then you will be able to go and relate what a tool is giving and what is there in the code. You will be able to relate it, and then you will be able to go and give the code level recommendation. So to answer your question, it is going to be partial learning, practicing it at least once will give you definitely confidence in doing the profiling and then doing the getting the observations out and then providing the recommendation. Yes, you'll be able to do it, but definitely only when you go and do one or two projects, you will be able to go and give the code level recommendations.
Okay. Okay. And how does this course still validates when we have cloud technologies already coming in, and most of the projects nowadays are interested in tuning and testing the cloud-based application hosted on the clouds,
Simple,
right?
right?
So I mean,
Simple. Oh, I got it. Simple. See, your scripting still relevant, execution still relevant, analysis still relevant because uh, it is moving to cloud, but your application is still a software, right? Your cloud is not going to take care of your optimization. It is not going to take care of your code issues. It is going to take care of only the scaling of your instances, scaling of your application. If response time is high, if your memory is high, additional instances will get spinned up. You'll start paying more money. They don't care about whether it is optimized or not. So application performance engineering is still same, testing is still same, even if you're going to have your application hosted in data center or in cloud. Both doesn't matter actually. So all these things are going to be more and more relevant in cloud because you're going to end up paying more and more money if this is not taken care. At least in data center, right, you will end up with the bottleneck. There's no more server available, you need to go and procure it, then we will eventually end up optimizing it. But in the cloud, if it is not taken care and you just live it carelessly, then you will spend millions of dollars to your cloud provider. So more important now in cloud to optimize your application.
Satish, will you be teaching from basic Java to us?
See, Java, as I said, this course is not for teaching Java programming language, but helping
Hello? Hello?
you to be a performance engineer, to talk for it, what is that required. But this is not for the Java itself. This is not a course for teaching the Java programming, no. But it is more in terms of helping you to uh, talk more confidently to your architects. So that is what we'll cover it from a Java performance engineering.
And second thing, will you be teaching us how to analyze the AWR report, like every aspect of it, and how to remove that report also from the database?
How to remove the report from the database.
Yeah, like to
Um,
analyze it, how are we going to receive that AWR report?
yes. See how to take the snapshots, how to generate the AWR report. What is the thumb rule to get the AWR? If you're running a 12-hour test, what what moment you will be up, you should do it before a steady state, after a steady state, every 1 hour, when to take all these things. Yes, that those will things will be covered. And from the, I was, if you remember, I was mentioning you right, from an application performance engineering perspective, we will definitely go and analyze the AWR report and then see what all the different sections are there, how important it is going to be each section to us, from a buffer cache ratio, from a parsing efficiency, SQLs. So all these things we'll be learning from a application performance perspective, right? The way DBAs will see that AWR report is different. The way you as an application performance engineer will see it is different. So what we will learn is more from the application performance engineering perspective, not as a DBA. We will not look into the SGA memory or PGA memory, how much is occupied. Never ever we will be allowed to go and allocate heap for an Oracle database or for the SGAs or PGAs. Tuning of these your SGAs or PGAs within your Oracle heap. That's not our area, because the database are going to be shared across multiple applications. The DBS job. What is our job is to make sure that our application SQLs are working fine or not, whether the parsing is happening properly, whether the buffer cache ratio is good or not for our queries. That is what we need to worry about it. That is what we will learn from the database concepts and AWR analysis.
Okay. And what about the WebLogic, JBoss, and all these things? Are you going to introduce this thing to us or not?
No, we'll see again. We can do a lot of these things, right? The courses tailored in such a way that it is going to be spread across 20 to 23 sessions and covering wide area of performance engineering for a person to get started. So I can include lot more of all what you have mentioned, but from the experience what we have learned, that's not going to be useful, right? No, it is useful, but too much to learn in a short duration. So this is tailored enough to just enough to not very less or not very large, right? That's how it is tailored. So if you whatever I have listed out in the course, apart from that, if you ask me whether we are going to cover this or that, my answer is going to be no, because you're asking something outside of my topic, right? Yeah, the course is meant to have these sessions, whatever I've told, within that 23, 22, 21, 24 hours. So that's how we tailored it actually.
And this course will be for how many months?
I was mentioning you, right? It is going to be around 22, 23, 24 hours. So it will go for 1.5 months, not weekends, just the weekdays. So 1.5 months it will go, but 23, 24, 22, 25 sessions. Okay, fine. If you have any more
Satish,
questions, yeah, please.
Satish, I have a question. Whenever you're trying to replicate the scenarios, right, like high response times or the DB other things, right? So you will be taking couple of examples or one or two, only one or two, which you have already available in the Google Drive.
No, no, it is going to be on the application, right? Whatever application I'm going to use it, there will be a problem. That problem we'll try to analyze it and then find out a root cause analysis. Do a root cause analysis and find out a problem. So if you take response time analysis, we'll be looking into one or two problems. If we want to look into memory issue, there'll be one or two problem. Thread issue, one or two problem. Yeah, that is how we'll look into it.
Hi Satish, Prashant here. I have one question. After registering, are we getting some, kind of training document, like pre-recorded videos and all?
One, the videos which I'm going to do it every day, that will get a video recordings. Apart from that, there will be engineering document, study material that will be, it's not a study material, but documents that will be sent by Isha directly, which will have a lot of theoretical content on concepts and the basics. You will get it from Isha. So that one you will get it. and then the videos which we are going to record it every day, that you will get it, and all the artifacts whichever we are creating it during the session, that will be there in the drive. So those are the things that you will get it after the registration.
Okay. And after completion of this training, so suppose if in case like if you require some support on the ongoing project, so is there any dedicated support guy would be supporting us, like if required, I'm saying.
There is not going to be a dedicated support, definitely, but there will be a support. This group will be active
Yeah,
for
yeah.
sure. So where you can post a message, I can definitely answer if I know, definitely, or somebody else also can contribute. So there's not going to be a dedicated support, but definitely a support to answer your questions, to
Yeah.
clarify things which you want. Or if you have something, we can actually get into a call over the weekend and then discuss. That mutually we
Mhm.
can do it. More from our own interest, we'll do it. But not something Isha is going to support it as a mandatory one. But I used to do it. Other trainers also used to do it. More from, it's a learning, right? It's also learning for us. So that over the weekend, if whenever we are available mutually, we will connect and then discuss.
Okay, cool. And yeah, last question, like so how it is different from different languages, like as you were learning performance engineering, like performance engineering on Java is different and .NET is different, and other languages are also different, right? So are we covering all those things, or it is
No way,
generic
no
one?
way, no. Yeah, it won't be able to cover everything. We have to start somewhere. I was mentioning, right? You have to start somewhere, and Java is the best place to start. Once you get that mindset of engineering, you will be able to expand
Mm-hmm.
it to Python. You'll be able to expand it to .NET or C, anything. So, one, we wanted to learn something very relevant in every other enterprise. In everywhere in the interview, you would get all these questions from a Java only. And definitely the answer, when somebody is going to ask you about how do you profile .NET or thing, you can go and say that I have done it for Java, and it is going to be another programming language where the the same thing will be applied with the different tools, with the different frameworks. So uh, uh, you have to start somewhere. Java is a good place, and then you can expand it to other languages as per the project need. Right, your project might have many of these things, Ruby or Python or .NET or Node. It can be anything. Your application might get developed in the future, but you can expand it. You can expand it once you know how things happens in general. You can expand it very easily. Yeah, I
Okay,
won't say very
understood.
easily, but it will help you to expand.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks. There's another session going to get started on the same bridge, so I need to log off now. Any other questions you can probably ask tomorrow as well at the beginning itself once you log in, or you can drop a message in the group WhatsApp group. I can answer it to the message, or we can get into a call if you have any questions around some more questions we want to talk. We can also connect in the WhatsApp tomorrow. Okay. Thanks a lot for your time, guys. We will meet tomorrow.
Okay, thank
Yeah,
you.
and for any, you can reach out to Kumar sir. Yeah. Thank you, guys. Bye bye.